is Ethan Tingler, front tire changer for the 3-car Austin Dillon. You're listening to Back of the Pack podcast on Fantasy Focus. Hell yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Back of the Pack live here on Fantasy Focus, brought to you by the original Hooters. Ryan Levy here with Alex Freeman and my boy Bucky, headed into the Folds of Honor QuikTrip 500, recording here on Saturday evening. Now that we know the pole positions, how you gents doing?
Doing great. A couple of races behind us today. Good to have some early Saturday action, and excited for tomorrow's race at Atlanta.
I'm just rooting for Joey Logano, to be quite honest with you all. I hope he comes out swinging tomorrow, and I think he's going to get the win. 22.
Bold early prediction from Bucky.
Yep, 22.
Man, I am so jealous that you have some real NASCAR swag, because I ordered my Chase hat like 3 weeks ago, and I still don't have it. He's just so popular. You know, the best driver in the world right now. All his stuff's on back order.
Yet
everything's stuck in Chicago. Nothing's going further west than Chicago. It's just this quarantine times. All the NASCAR gear staying over here to the east.
Yet you call him Joey Slogano. This was very quick. Very quick. 2 days. That's all I asked for.
Because it wasn't him.
Fair enough. This was his team. His team was behind this, and his team is very quick and efficient. Let's get into it.
Atlanta. Freeman, what happened today on Saturday? Give the people a quick recap of today's races in the Truck and Xfinity series before we get into it.
Yeah, so like we said, a little bit of action to start our weekend off here on Saturday with the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series both going off this afternoon in Atlanta. So within 5 minutes of us starting here, the Xfinity event race wrapped up. Allmendinger won that race. He's actually not a regular in that series. He was a previous driver, full-time driver in the Cup Series, who we consider a quote-unquote a road ringer, who was someone who is a road course racing background, who had kind of bounced around in the Cup Series and now finds himself running a partial series in the Xfinity Series. So good to see someone like that get a W, someone who's not a regular, someone who's not a Kyle Busch. Again, that's pretty cool. So kudos to him. And then earlier this afternoon, Brent Enfinger wins a race dominated by Austin Hill in Atlanta. Like Bucky said, he was really he knew what he was doing in the last few laps and caught a really lucky caution.
So this is my first exposure to the Truck Series, and my God.
Yeah, it's great. Everything is shorter, and everything has to just happen in a much quicker time frame. So unlike the Cup guys who have a 500-mile race, you know, the Truck Series race are a third of that, or even less, at 200 miles. So you know, they don't have any time to wait around. They have to get to the front right away, or they're going to lose their chance.
I felt like everything was way looser with the trucks than they are in the cars, and yeah. Rightfully so, considering the dimensions of that truck, right? So you're trying to just go forward the same way that you would in a NASCAR sprint car.
Exactly.
It's not the same. That was awesome. I really appreciated that today.
Yeah, and in racing, what they say is loose is fast. So for these short truck races, for these short events, you know, these guys need to keep their cars, or their trucks rather, loose, so they have a lot of ability to climb the field. So like you said, great observation. And again, Atlanta is a very old track. It is a very loose track. It destroys your tires, and it comes down to the driver's ability to really handle that machine. So again, loose as fast as that Atlanta, you're going to see a lot of guys fishtailing and hanging their rears out for sure.
Yeah, I saw Chase with 4 laps to go spinning out there in that nasty black 24 Hooters paint. I love that truck, man.
Yeah, it's sharp. I'm excited to see some similar colors on his Cup car in a few weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got the pole positions now officially. When we recorded earlier in the week, we didn't get into our specific monkey knife fight picks. We gave some examples of what the point totals looked like. But let's run down the top 10 so you guys are aware. And if you're just joining us in the chat, if you're playing on DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever, let us know what your options are and we'll help you out in terms of picking some valuable drivers. But we are focusing on Monkey Knife Fight. If you guys have never played on Monkey Knife Fight, just go to monkeyknifefight.com and enter the code FOCUSED when you deposit. When you deposit $50, you'll get a 50 on top of that. So we're going to get into the contest for today, or for Sunday, I should say. But the the rundown. Chase is starting at the 1, Chase Elliott. Almirola at 2, Slowy Logano at 3, Kyle Busch at 4, Clint Boyer at 5, Keselowski at 6, Ryan Blaney at 7, Alex Bowman at 8, Kevin Harvick at 9, Denny Hamlin at 10. And I do want to mention Truex Jr. at 11 and Kurt Busch down at 12 as well. So what do you guys think initially headed in?
Chase pulled the number 1 spot. He's coming off a number of strong weekends here. And if it wasn't for his crash last week, he would have had a winner, a second place, and that would have been, a number of 3 great top 2 finishes. So I look for the Chevys to stay strong. Chase, I think, will stay out front and lead a number of laps to start the race. Look for the Harvicks of the world back there in the second half, the top 10 to make themselves known after that first pit stop. And I think that drivers in the Fords like Keselowski, like Logano, maybe the first to kind of fall to the field a little bit quicker. But drivers like Bowman and even Blaney's, I think they're going to improve out of the gate from their back half of the top 10 starting positions.
I'm just going to call it like I see it, boys. This has number 22 written all over it. It's going to be a Logano bloodfest, and he's going to be drinking all of his competitors' blood. That's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be Joe Logano with an absolute buffet of blood coming from all of the competitors in this competition. It's not going to be – look, you start Joey Slogano, quote unquote, like you just said, Levy. Number one, I wanted to just pass that off, but then I heard the slander from Freeman as well. Logano is going to just come out there and outrace the competition. That's what's about to happen right here. Go number 22. Here we go.
And you have your backup hat in the event he's not doing too well tomorrow, right?
Don't worry about it. We have teammates. All right, we're playing on the same team here.
I was going to say a couple of weeks ago when Chase got wrecked headed into when I believe he was leading the race. I don't remember which track that was at. I don't know if that was at Darlington or where it was, but I said he was going to be pissed off and going to be coming and playing with a chip on his shoulder or racing with a chip on his shoulder. I'm curious to see if that happens with old Slowy here. You know, is he going to be motivated? Is he going to be a little bit faster, for once? Because
Joey is he? Do you think he's the aggressor here? Like he has some payback for Chase? Do you think that Chase has something coming for him, Levy?
I do. I think he has something coming here. I think it's going to be a dirty race. So part of me wants to fade both of these guys, but obviously with my boy Chase starting in the 1 hole, I think he's going to lead at least 50 laps. So whatever the number's set at, we'll get into that soon. I'm taking the more.
But Logano is right there. He's in his back pocket. What are you going to do then?
It's going to make for an entertaining race. I'll tell you that much.
No, yeah, there's definitely going to be some drama, and also this is a track that that is old and worn and torn. We haven't had any practice. While it's important for the drivers to see the Xfinity race today and kind of understand some trends and what happens. We saw the top 3 in the Xfinity race have speeding penalties simultaneous in the last pit stop, and we have someone coming out of nowhere to win the race. So small mistakes like that will ruin your day. You can be the Chase Elliott's of the world and the best machine out on the racetrack, but if you can't abide by the pit lane rules and you get stuck at the back of the pack, with 5 laps left, you're kind of stuck. So you got to pull it all together. And I think Chase is one of those individuals who can do that. And I think just Chevy is leading the pack in that ability.
Bucky, any additional thoughts on that?
I think Chevy has the upper hand, and I'm a bit concerned, to be quite honest. But us Joey guys, we're just gonna keep pumping for our guy, and we're gonna win this race tomorrow.
How big is the group, you guys?
The guys are pretty strong. I mean, you got Chuck, who's a plumber. He lives around the bend. You also have Chet, who's my next door neighbor. He's a hell of a guy. Keeps
growing by the week, right?
No, keeps coming over when I'm not around, which is the weird part about it. But Chet's here. So we believe in Chet. He's a Logano guy. We got the guys. There's 3 of us.
You love to see it grow.
I love it. Let's talk about some of the odds before we get into the Monkey Knife Fight picks, shall we? If you're betting for a winner here, Chase is at plus 650. Logano is at plus 900. Kyle Busch is at plus 650 as well. Other guys at plus 900, Keselowski. Bowman's at plus 800. Harvick is actually the favorite here, starting down in the 9 hole at plus 500. We know we talked about it earlier in the week. If you missed us, historically, Harvick has done pretty well here. Freeman, what do you think about him starting in the 9 hole?
The great thing with Harvick here is the competition caution is going to give these guys the option to play strategy and get a lot of track position potentially. I'm not too concerned about Harvick's ability to kind of jump a few drivers here in the first stage and a half, but I have questions about their staying power. Again, as this race goes long run and these Chevys start bubbling up at the top, I think that some of the Fords, especially the Fords from Stewart-Haas, just haven't shown the strength. While Keselowski and Logano have been a bit stronger from Penske Racing, I just don't see that long-term stay from Harvick up front. So I'm hesitant to even throw any money on him for a top 3 or top 10 as well.
I'm with you, Freeman. I'm backing away from Harvick this race.
Someone else I actually like here. I feel like he's been racing pretty well lately, but hasn't necessarily been finishing all that well outside of his, I believe he finished second to Chase a week or two ago. Denny Hamlin at plus 1,100 starting in the 10 spot. I think that's great value for him. You know what I mean? I mean, just throwing a unit or two on that for plus 1,100. I like that.
I agree. I think that's one of the best values to win that you're going to find among the top drivers. When you consider how realistic it is with the odds. So he's always finds himself around the right place to allow his ability to make a difference when it comes to a few drivers around him. So I'm in agreement 110%. I think he's someone that you can even look at for a win or a top 3, throw a little bit of money on it to protect some of your other more risky bets.
Well, Freeman, how do you feel about top 4 right here? What is your gut visceral reaction to top 4?
Yeah, there's going to be someone in there that we don't expect, and I think it will be a Ford. I'm thinking it's someone from the back half of Stewart-Haas. I think an Almirola or a Boyer is going to be mixed into the top 3 or 4. That's going to be a bit of a curveball, but I expect Hendrick to make up a large majority of the top 3, top 4, top 5 when we come to the finish line. I think Chase Elliott and Bowman are going to be the strongest of the stable, with Byron up there with them as well. And you're always going to have, Penske always finds a way to be around at the end. I just don't think it's going to be there this weekend. So I'm much to your chagrin there, Bucky, I'm fading the Penske Ford guys and Keselowski and Logano, and even the Blaney's of the world, because I just haven't seen it out of them of recent. Even though some of them are due for some action, the Blaney's and Loganos are due for a W. I just think it's going to be a Hendrick show this weekend.
It's okay. You can break my heart very quickly there, Alex. You can
gently.
Bucky, I see you got the number 20 car hat on right now.
Wardrobe change.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm an Eric Jones guy. So we got all the guys surrounded. We're all pumping for number 20. That's all we're doing. You have Jeff, who lives next door. That's not Chet, not to be confused with Chet, but Jeff next door, big number 20 fan. He gave me this hat, actually. And I couldn't be more pleased to have 2 people on board with the Eric Jones train. Eric with a K. We talked about it many times. What are the odds there on my boy Eric Jones here, Levy?
Plus 2,500. And before you respond, I just want to say, since we've started going live here on YouTube with the Back of the Pack crew and Bucky started joining us, I feel like we've been fortunate enough to see the transformation of Bucky into Buck. Like you've got the hair going outside of the side of the hat. You're rocking a NASCAR hat. You've got like this dirty mustache on. Like you're back to drinking Busch for sure.
Have you ever been backed into a corner before? Have you ever been in that situation? That's where I am currently. And you know what? I like to make the best of it. So when you got Eric Jones, if I were to be at a bar and Eric Jones were to say, "Hey, Buck, I'm racing tomorrow," I'd say, "Eric Jones, I got your back 100% of the time. I'll get you this next beer. You make sure that you're good to go, though. Get some orange juice in you, some sustenance, everything you need for the next morning."
Some racing fuel.
You're racing. Exactly. And that's exactly what I want to bring in this podcast. You got Eric Jones. You got Joey Logano. I think it's going to be a 1-2 tomorrow. Joey,
Well, at least both hats. You can wear the rally cap tomorrow on both sides and to help your boys out.
trust me, I'm going to be flopping these hats all over the place tomorrow.
I mean, plus 2,500 though. I mean, he's been racing really well. That's a good dart throw right there.
Yeah, and he hasn't been around the series for a while, but he has had good consistency here over the last couple of races and the last few years at Atlanta. So he's just a quiet driver, much like a Denny Hamlin. Not a lot of people will talk about him every single weekend until the last third of the race. You see Denny, you see Eric Jones popping around. I think both those guys, again, they're Toyotas. They're from the same stable. They have some. They've shown their strength towards the latter half of these races and can both be around at the right time to get a W.
I hope so. I really hope so because I like what I've seen from Jones. It's just I don't know that his car has enough juice. He has enough juice to be there in the thick of it, but I don't know that he's going to clear away. Agree.
Unless he's starting on the front row of that last restart, I don't see anyone besides the Chevy winning. But what did you say? 2,500 for Eric Jones on a win?
Yeah.
Let's play ball.
Which is why we're back to Joey Logano here. The guy is gonna smoke his competition. There's no doubt about it. He's been racing fast here, Freeman. You know he has. And it's time for you to realize that y'all's nicknames that you're putting out for my boy, they're just absolute false.
Deuce.
This guy, he comes out, he races his ass off every single race. That's all I need from the guy. Number 22, that's who I got my heart with, and that's who I'm going to ride with.
You know who I got my heart with.
We'll see what happens.
I won't wear any hats tomorrow, guaranteed. All I do is I watch and I hope and I dream, Freeman.
Before we get into our monkey knife fight picks here, I got my underdog play of the week here. Someone who I also feel like, in addition to Eric Jones, has been racing pretty well. His odds are coming in at plus 1,800. He's starting in the 15th spot, and he was in the news this week for being outspoken in terms of the racial injustices that have been going on in our country. Jimmy Johnson said he was disappointed that more of the top drivers were not outspoken, that did not come forward and say things. So I feel like he's going to be playing with some heart this week, going to be racing heavy, and he's been racing pretty well anyway, and he's starting in the 15 spot. So give me some Jimmy Johnson. I don't know if I'll bet him to win at plus 1,800, but I like him as a top 3 play as an outside chance. So like if you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel or whatever, I will take some Jimmy Johnson for 1,800, please.
And I'm sure that he's a more inexpensive option if you're playing a 5 or 6 driver lineup. So he's not going to be the 16 or 17,000 or whatever those high numbers are for the Bushes and the Harvicks of the world. But you'll definitely find him middle of the pack and have some good value here for Atlanta.
Love it.
I don't buy into the Jimmy Johnson right now.
Why? His stock is high, man.
No, the stock is sky high, and I understand everything that's going on around us. And the main factor for me is I don't see it in the car. Like, it boils down to what I see in the car. I don't see it in the Jimmy Johnson 48 car. I just don't see it.
He hasn't been showing it of recent. We had some strong showings at Darlington, but his teammates have been out running him every weekend. So I think there's an opportunity for him to turn around here. But again, it's a good value pick, assuming that he can really leverage a lot of his earlier career success at tracks like this to pull himself forward.
But wouldn't you prefer, if you're going to take a stab here, Freeman, wouldn't you prefer a guy like Jones?
Yeah, for the value. Just if you put Jimmy Johnson and Eric Jones side by side, I think they both have similar chances of winning and achieving top 3s, and Jones's odds are twice as favorable to bettors than Jimmy Johnson. So that's how I rationalize it at the moment. And I think Jones is looking strong. And again, a lot of people sleeper picks going into tomorrow's race.
I think Jones is kind of like Keselowski Jr. He's just lurking in the shadows, man.
Yep.
He's the worst friend you have who's just lurking, man. He's just he's back behind you. You're like, I don't even know this guy, but then you turn around and you're like, I know this guy.
He's there.
Jones.
Nah, not me, man. Give me the history. Give me the guy who's done this 100 times before at this track. Give me some Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson, Harvick. I think again, if you need someone to feel comfortable going with, those two are the ones that have the potential to have that consistency, follow through, and take it across the finish line. But we're living on the edge here. I think there's going to be some new power coming ahead here in NASCAR at some of these tracks where Harvick and Jimmy Johnson have really reigned. And look for the young guns like Jones, like Elliott, to continue to carry the banner for a lot of NASCAR.
So the way I think about it, Freeman, is when are we going to see somebody outside of the top expected finishers to bust through? Because to be quite fair, Keselowski has been the poacher of this entire scenario since we restarted NASCAR. But aside from that, it's been pretty chalk. Like we've been in a chalk environment here. So how do we break out of this? My guess is you put on the 20 cap and you get Eric Jones going. He's going to be firing on all cylinders, boys.
We gotta start somewhere, right? And I think Jones is a great person to kind of break that trend. Really, the reason that we keep chalking it up to just the expected kind of top 3, top 5 finishers is because qualifying is a big play here. So, we have the top 12 randomized amongst the top 12 finishers, over a long period of time. If you average this together, that makes you believe it's the top drivers that are driving every Sunday. So when you have the opportunity for some of these mid to backpack drivers to qualify in an open track environment to potentially overachieve some of these front runners, they have the ability to mix things up, if you will. Now, some of these quote unquote cookie cutter tracks are going to give you a little bit more chalky results. But when we get to the Talladegas and the Poconos and the larger tracks that strategy and error and drafting comes into play, I expect some of these cars, even like a Chris Buescher or an Almirola, to really prevail and to get a W. So look for Talladega, look for Daytona, look for Pocono, tracks like that have a little bit more differentiating factors built in.
Is NASCAR getting too top heavy?
That's been an argument for a while, and I think this new format has really emphasized that, where we don't have the ability for some of these middle of the pack teams to come to their favorite track, overachieve, and qualify, ahead of those front runners. But until we are able to resume to some more traditional schedule that includes practice, that includes qualifying, it's going to be hard for a lot of these teams to catch up to those front runners just because of the resources they have allocated to the sport. So, the qualifying, the practice gives these middle and back of the pack teams the opportunity to close that gap, I believe. So I think until we have the chance to have a bit more of a normal schedule, we're going to continue to see this, and it's going to be amongst the top 5 and 7 drivers.
I don't love that. I want a little more variety in my life.
Agree. And I think a lot of drivers see that too, but a lot of fans. But at the same time, I'd rather have this, a little bit of an altered qualifying and running order setup, than no racing at all. So it might get kind of a little bit more repetitive as we move forward. But I expect that there will be changes that continue to keep things unique and refreshing, because there's only so many times that you can pull the top 12 starting lineup out of a hat. It's kind of getting to the point where it seems like a gimmick. Like let's mix it up, let's find something new, let's give some of these front runners more of a uphill battle, if you will.
Well, for me, Freeman, it comes down to, you got Chase Elliott racing his ass off, and then you got Joey Logano. I mean, Joey Logano is out here. He's doing everything in his power to just be that little gnat that bites you in the ass. That's what my guy Logano is going to do.
That's all he is.
Straighten your ass. He's going to come through you. It doesn't matter. Okay? It's
murder hornet style.
It's it's a murder hornet, which is a serious thing. So those on the West Coast, please heed caution, because the murder hornets are there, aka number 22.
Love it.
I love it, man. I hope one of these, lesser known guys, but I mean, thankfully for me, Chase is my favorite driver, and he just so happens to be the best driver in the world right now, and starting in one position.
He's really good, dude. He is really good.
he's phenomenal. But like, I mean, you look at like Almirola's been racing pretty well, and he's starting in the 2 position, and he's plus 5,000 to win.
That's a hell of a bet, by the way, but he's not going to win the race.
No, and we are blessed with fantasy sports greatness right here in the chat. Mr. Lenny Melnick, he is in the fantasy baseball Hall of Fame. So shout out Lenny. He says Parnelli Jones and AJ Foyt, old school names right there. Freeman, you know those names.
Yes, I do. AJ Foyt, and it reminds me, we've heard a lot about the Indy 500 and the Brickyard 400 that are coming up in the next few weeks. We were excited, to have fans back at the racetrack on those weekends, but unfortunately we won't have them during the July 4th weekend and those events. As you see, one of my little animals over here, or exploring around. But when I think of AJ Foyt, I think of Indianapolis, and Indy's a great track that we're going to have a lot of action at, on the July 4th weekend that I'm excited to get back into.
Levy, can you go back to Freeman real quick? Because I want to embrace the backdrop of what his camera is giving me right now. Just give me full Freeman.
How do I do that? I don't know.
I'll just get out of the way.
It looks so crystal clear blue. Oh my goodness.
It's beautiful.
Look at this thing. Look at this thing.
It's beautiful.
Did you found Apple?
No, not yet.
What a beauty.
There we go. Look at me. I'm learning how to do technology over here.
You're the producer. You're the host. Man, your resume is going to be way more than one page there, bro.
Yeah, he's talking it.
Getting crazy over here. All right, so if you guys have never played Monkey Knife Fight before, I will give you the breakdown here. So fantasy points, we're going to go more or less on these guys, and fantasy points are accumulated by leading a lap will get you 1/10 of a point. So starting position is key if you're looking for someone to jump out and lead laps immediately and get you some fantasy points. So again, 1/10 of a point for every lap led. If you finish the race in first place, you're going to get 20 points. Second place, 19. Third place, 18. Fourth, 17. Fifth, 16. All the way down to 20th, which will get you 1 point. So here we're going to start off with a simple more or less. So you get 2 out of 2 right here, and you're going to get 3 extra buy-in. So you bet $10, you win 30. Pretty simple, right? So we're going to start with Kevin Harvick. His more or less is set at 19.5 points. He is starting in the 9 hole. That is a lot of fantasy points. What do you got, Freeman?
I mean, he was 18.5 before he drew a 9. So, and he went up to 19.5 after drawing a 9. I think he's going to be around. He may even lead a few laps. I just don't feel like the Fords are going to be, a large majority of the top 5 come the end of the race. And I don't think Harvick's going to be there when it matters. So, a 19.5 at Atlanta, where he's starting, is either going to require a dominant second and third stage or, a late race move to take a W. So I'm going to go less with Harvick this weekend, even though we talked him up during the podcast on Wednesday and his strong history here. I don't feel it. I'm going less.
He finishes with 18 points, therefore less.
Yeah, I mean, 19.5 is a lot. I'm learning some valuable lessons here on a weekly basis. So I'm going to agree with you guys and go 19, or sorry, I'll take the less than 19.5. Chase is set at the same.
So high.
What's up?
It's so high. 19.5 is huge.
Crazy. Yeah. The highest I ever saw was Kyle Busch at 20.5, and I think he got 0 points that race.
Oh, yeah, right when COVID got back because they were high on Busch. But with Elliott, I think he's going more here. So just like Keselowski last weekend, he was starting from the pole. He had the whole shot. He got a couple points under his belt to get it started for the night. I think Chase is going to do the same thing when it comes to the start of the race. He'll have the favorable groove. He'll be able to get the whole shot and lead the field to the competition caution, at least getting a few points under his belt. So I'm going to go more for Chase. I think he's the winner. If you think the driver is going to be your winner, that's 20 points out of the gate. So every lap led is a buffer. So that's how I feel about this one. Less for Harvick, more for Elliott tomorrow.
I'm with you there. I think Elliott is hotter than nitroglycerin right now. The guy is burning hot. And he's
Indeed,
going to do that.
I mean, you'll literally never, ever see me take the less on Chase Elliott. Life is too short to bet less. So I will always always lean with Chase.
Except when it's Harvick.
Fine.
Where's my guy Joey? Why is he not in?
He's too slow this weekend.
Dude, he's so slow. They don't even want him. They don't want any part of him.
I'm gonna continue to raise the flag.
He's too easy to fade this weekend. Everyone's fading Logano. The Monkey Knife Fight would just be losing money if he was up here.
He has been just biting everybody in their ass. You know it, and you know it well. Okay, he will be there. He is the gnat that won't quit.
I love it. All right, so if you guys are just tuning in here, we're going through our Monkey Knife Fight picks for Sunday, June 7th at Atlanta Motor Speedway. If you're just coming across our channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button for us. And if you've never played on Monkey Knife Fight, make sure you use code FOCUSED when you deposit $50. You'll get 50 for free. Win yourself some money because you know we're going. This is the weekend. We go 12X. The Levy bag of donuts is coming through. Last weekend, we went 4 out of 5. Today, we go 5 out of 5. We get it.
Is Logano in the bag or no?
Negative.
I have to work. I don't want
me right now.
He is not. He is not present. But I feel I like who we have and the numbers that we're given for the 12 pack. So before we dive into that, we'll jump into what is this? This is another more or less, right?
more or less 3 out of 4 here for 2.5x you're buying.
Yeah. 3 out of 4s have been doing well for us the last few weekends, even though we've put down a couple units on on 3 or 4 competitions. But what's happened is winning one of these 3 of 4 has broken us even. So I feel good about this one as well. It's a very similar lineup the first half of our last one. I'm going to stay true to what I said on the Harvick and Elliott picks. And when it comes to Busch, I think him and Elliott are going to be front runners, much like they were in Charlotte, at the end of the race in the Truck Series. I'm going to go more on Kyle Busch. I think him and Elliott are going to dominate the race with laps led. And I'm going to go less on Keselowski. He'll be around in the top 5 or top 7, but I think he's going to drop like a rock, much like he did a few races ago.
So I agree with Keselowski being less because he's just he's an absolute snake in the grass. However, the more for Busch while he's rocking that purple car, that's a concern for me. I don't think he's as fast as he needs to be. If he was in the Skittles car, sure, give me the over, give me the more. I don't think that's the case here. He's rocking a purple car, and it's going to be purple slow.
The fudge car is not done very well. I mean, we talked about it, at Darlington, right? He was in the purple car. He was dragging ass. There could be some truth to it. So this is, again, one of those 3 of 4s where you have a little bit of wiggle room to be ballsy on one of these picks. I feel confident in the Harvick and Elliott pick. Bucky's feeling very confident about the less on the Kez. This play your odds here. You're playing 3 for 4. If you're more confident on the less for Busch, you can play the exact 4 of 4 on a more or less as well and make a little bit more coin.
Is it the fudge, M&M fudge?
The purple ones.
That sounds like disgusting. I don't want M&M fudge.
The fudge truck, the fudge mobile.
No, I don't need fudge ruckers out here doing their thing, Like, I don't need the fudge rucker ambulance just hooting and hollering away. Crossing the track. I need a focused either yellow car with the peanut M&Ms or I need the red car with the Skittles.
Yeah,
that's all I need.
They're trying too hard, right?
They're trying pretty hard, Freeman, to be quite honest with you.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. And it's funny you say, we're talking about Kyle Busch because he has all these candy sponsors. He has all these fun nicknames between Rowdy and a number of other ones. But he's the candy man in NASCAR. He is driving all these candy machines. And eventually we're going to be a little bit more, colorful. And I guess this weekend's that.
Well, I think Jordan Peele is directing the Candyman sequel. Not a sequel, but like a reboot of the Candyman, which is a terrifying early 90s movie. If anybody's ever seen that.
No thanks.
Done. Oh, it's you don't like scary movies, Furman?
Not as much as the not scary movies there, Bucky.
Fair enough, man. I don't like scary movies either, man. I pick my pants too much.
It's okay, me either. I feel like Kyle Busch is kind of due for a more showing, though. He's been kind of shit in the bed lately, so I'm going to go Kyle Busch over. But, Freeman, what's the strategy here? So we're going on this one. You got to get all 4 for 5x you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go with the same plays. Is that your strategy here?
I think so, because even if you get one of them wrong in the 4 for 4, then you have the potential to cover your money on the 3 of 4. So I feel confident in the 3 of 4. The 4 of 4, again, a bit more risky, but you have a way to kind of cover your ass there if one of your drivers doesn't keep up with stuff.
All right, fair enough. So just to run through those for you guys real quick, we're going to take less on Harvick, 19.5 points, more on Chase, 19.5, more on Kyle Busch, 18.5, and we're going to take less than 17.5 on Kez. So that will bring us to our favorite play of the week, the 12X, the Levy Bag of Donuts, the ever elusive Levy Bag of Donuts. No Logano, sorry, Buck, but Truex is every week with his smug face.
He's such a tease. 16.5 every week. Like, man, you would think every week we say it, you would think Truex gets 16.5 on any weekend, but where's this guy been, man? Like, I don't see the Bass Pro car up front a lot. I don't see his numbers up there. I don't hear his name as much. Something's up with those guys, and then Toyota and Gibbs. It's weird to only see Busch at the front of the pack with Hamlin most of the time.
Not just that, but the monkey knife fight fellas, they always dangle him right in front of us like a carrot.
They know something we don't.
Is it is it like a nice fresh carrot? Is it like sauteed? Is it soft? I don't know, but it's a carrot nonetheless, boys.
Yeah, and you never know until you bite into it, right? And it's too damn late. That's kind of how it is at Truex. So
that's how I chipped my first tooth there.
So I threw down my last $10 there in monkey knife fight on the 12.
Oh man.
So you always got to go all in on the last hand. I'm not trying to leave $5 left over for.
No, can't do it.
No way. You got to goose the account.
When you hit that bag of donuts, you're going to be upset you didn't drop another few dollars on it, because that one's going to hit and you're going to do a dance and it's going to be great.
Yeah, that'd be a fool's errand to not do this.
And Levy, remind the people too with the code when it comes to starting an account with Monkey Knife Fight. You don't only have to drop in 50. Anything above 10 and between 10 and 50 they match, right?
Yep. So if you want to deposit $10, $20, whatever, as long as you use code FOCUSED or the link I provided in the description of this video, you will get 100% match bonus. So. Make sure you guys are doing that. We've been doing pretty well on this. I play like a degenerate and I'm an idiot, and I always go for the big shot at the end. So these guys have been breaking even or making money on a weekly basis. I'm just trying to hit it big over here. But
Buck and I are playing with bonus money still. We got our pocket money still chilling in the bank.
I mean, Levy's always been a big finisher guy. He wants to come through with just that punch right to the melon. I prefer shin kicks, and that's what I'm doing to Monkey Knife currently.
Poke him in the eyes, kick him in the balls, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, but you better believe it.
When Levy gets this 12Xer, we're gonna screenshot it, we're gonna frame it, and put it right behind your noggin for every live podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm scared every time I look at the 12Xer though, because I know I'm gonna be spited by some bullshit wreck with
probably Truex or Busch.
Well, it happened to me last week with Chase. Dude, I had Chase was my 5th guy, and he was on the last lap or whatever it was.
He did it to himself, Levy.
He did. He got cocky. Instead of taking that second place flag, he got a little salty. That slow, he got past him.
I had to check myself. Am I wearing the Logano hat? You're goddamn right I am. Joey all the way. The fact that he is being excluded from this competition does kind of rattle my bones a little bit. I don't like that. I wish that Joey was in here, because Joey would be the crucial separator. I'll talk to the guys.
You should write a strongly worded letter to our friends at Monkey Knife Fight.
Right.
It'll be worded.
Freeman, to wrap us up, I have 2 questions.
Let's do it.
These may be dumb questions. But what exactly is a competition caution?
Yeah.
And what do the listeners out there, the gamblers, the fantasy players, what do they need to know about Atlanta Motor Speedway? So 2-part question.
Yeah, so the first one, competition caution. So these are in place usually on weekends when there is a delay in any kind of qualifying or practice to give the teams the ability to kind of get a temperature check literally on their tires, but also figuratively on where their kind of car is going. So, since we do have an abbreviated schedule now, we're giving the teams the ability to make a green flag run that's about half of the amount of a fuel run to give them the chance to assess where their car's at. In the end, it's going to give us a better product because we're getting one more pit stop. We're getting a chance for these cars to get better handling and more speed. And it's also a safety measure to make sure the tires aren't wearing much quicker than expected. Because again, we're at a track where we haven't had action in this car in some time. So competition caution is an ability to assess where the car is and give everyone more of an equal playing field to go after the rest of the race. And again, a safety measure as well.
Okay. Love it.
And the second half, remind me again.
The track. What do they need to know about Atlanta?
Yeah. So Atlanta, again, track position with this package is extremely important. We saw it at Bristol. We saw it at Darlington. Starting in the top 10 gives you a great chance at winning, no matter if it's random or not, just because of where you are in relationship to all your competitors. So look for someone in the top 10 to win. 80% of drivers come out of the top 10 here at Atlanta and win. It's because the track's so old. While it has a lot of grooves, has a lot of ability for the driver to maneuver their car based on how it's handling, there is a favorite groove, and it will be on the bottom. You'll see Harvick start out there very early, but as the race wears on and rubber wears in, you're going to see the Reddicks and the Kenseth and the Almirola's up top riding the rims, and that could be advantageous for a lot of those guys. So look for a lot of lanes towards the end of the race, a lot of beating and banging. I think it's going to be a quiet race up until the second half of the last stage, and we're going to see caution after caution because this race, fast speeds, wide turns, a lot of loose cars, like Bucky mentioned at the start of the pod here. So it's going to be a great race. I'm excited for it, and it'll start in the sunshine. And if we're lucky, we might see a little bit of night racing too.
Well, you mentioned my guy Matty Kenseth here with the 42 car. That kind of gets me jonesing a little bit. Not Eric jonesing, but just jonesing in general. There, oh boy, I'm stuck in a pickle. I'm stuck in a pickle now because I got the 22. I honestly think. Are we doing our predictions here? Top.
Yeah,
three?
I was gonna say, give me your top three, like we did last week.
All right, top three. Here we go. It's going to be Joey Logano, number 22, followed there shortly by Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott, he's just too goddamn good right now. And then I think Truex Jr. actually has a good race.
Ooh.
Going against the grain a bit.
You know what? All I have at this point is the grain, Freeman. I'm going to go against it.
I like to hear it. So
I've been tapping and clawing on the grain.
I think it's going to pay off. I was hating on Truex a little bit, but again, he shares he's teammates with Busch and Hamlin, similar equipment. We think they're all due. I think it's a smart pick.
All right, so I'm gonna go here, Freeman. You're gonna wrap us up with your final or your top three. So I'm gonna go with the guy who's plus 1100 to win it. So I'm gonna go with Denny Hamlin, taking it home, starting with the 10 spot. Going with Denny. That's my second favorite driver. I'm going with my first favorite driver to finish in the 2-hole. So I'm with Bucky. I'm going to go with Chase Elliott in the 2-hole. And my outside guy to finish as a top 3, mentioned him earlier, sticking to my guns here, feeling good, looking good, playing good, going to hit the 5 or the 12Xer. But Jimmy Johnson finishing in the 3-hole.
Okay, I like that.
I don't see it, though. I haven't seen it in the car.
You don't need to see it. You just need to believe it.
We saw it last weekend, man. Anything can happen. You can be running 5th in the last lap, and something can happen, and you're in 3rd place right away. So I think we have some good perspectives and analysis as well.
But Freeman, it's two different worlds between what we saw last week in Bristol and what we're going to see in Atlanta. I mean, it's two different worlds. You're talking about like a trash compactor in Bristol. And that's what it is. It's basically the scene from A New Hope. We're all in the compactor there. I think it's a different story. And I haven't seen enough out of Jimmy. No offense to him, man, because he's one of the best drivers that has ever been. The fact of the matter is, I don't think he has the juice.
All right. Freeman, what do you got?
My opinion matters.
It's very important. And I think that you guys are spot on here. You guys have great picks, and I think Truex and Jimmy Johnson are going to be ones that are outliers that could potentially come in here strong and add some value for these straight up bettors on individual drivers. So to wrap things up here, my top three, we have some similarities amongst the group. I'm going to go with Chase to take the W. Again, like we talked about earlier, I think Kyle Busch is going to be a top contender as well. So my 1-2 is going to be Elliott with Kyle Busch. And I'm going to go with a bit of an outlier here in third place. I was between Eric Jones and Almirola and Bowyer. I have a knack. I have a feeling for Bowyer. You know, today I heard him. He was talking on the Xfinity broadcast, and something about Bowyer's hitting me right this weekend. So I'm going to go Elliott, Kyle Busch, and Bowyer for my top three.
I like the Clint Bowyer. He's just every man's man.
Plus 2,500 to win it all.
What's his top three?
What's that?
I think his top three is probably 400-500. So another value too.
I'm not sure. I don't have the top three odds in front of me. I just go big.
Bet it. I like it. The fact that Freeman is feeling a little Clint Bowyer itch in him, I like it.
I love it, man.
Yes.
I'm in on it.
Awesome. So that'll do it. It's been fun. Enjoy Atlanta Motor Speedway on Sunday. The race goes off at 3:00 Eastern time. So you guys go ahead and enjoy it, and look forward to winning some money on Monkey Knife Fight here. See you guys next week.
Yeah. Hopefully this damn hurricane doesn't cause us any problems.
Yeah. Dry rain or dry skies. Sorry.
I like dry rain too.
Dry rain. Dry rain, dry skies. We just need no rain, please, Mother Nature.
Listen, dry rain, icy hot on your balls. We're good to go.
See you guys.
Don't do that and get in the car.